I'm Ariella Mortkowitz, the founding director of SVIVAH. We have beautiful new faces as always here tonight. If you're up for it, stay and introduce yourself to the end. I promise I won't run off. 30 seconds about SVIVAH. SVIVAH is about revolutionizing the way that women come together in community and using Jewish community to empower women and individual change makers in our own lives and in the Jewish world. In the world, not just the Jewish world. Discovering and exploring the unique and beautiful Torah that comes from our lived experience, and doing all of this from within a community of care. We define both Jewish and women very broadly. If you want to be with us, we want you with us and welcome. We love that we are multi-generational and diverse in background and affiliations, and we come together in celebration and support of women, our strengths, our unique perspectives, and our ways of impacting the world. I am noticing that my entire demeanor is like weighted. And I'm just going to say and reflect back that that is because of all of the work that went into putting tonight together and everything that I'm like holding that didn't even make it into tonight. And I'm just noticing that this week is a lot. I want to give a really giant thank you to Jordan Rosensky for not just being the magician behind the scenes who's like making sure that the Zoom room is working correctly, but really being so foundational to giving us new life and perspective into what tonight needed to be. Thank you so much, Jordan. To the Covenant Foundation and to the Aviv Foundation, who are constantly encouraging us to find ways to be thoughtful and learn and come together in ways that encourage new learning from and with each other. All week, ever since Passover, I have friends in Israel who have been like posting to their social media feeds dreading the yamim, or over and over, I'm really dreading next week, or it's just too much, or I don't have strength for next week. And I really appreciated how honest they were about the weight of emotions that come up for them on Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, and Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israel's Independence Day, which both take place this week in a lovely tight 48 hours. In some way, it feels like they're saying, give us a break. We just figured out how to make it through the day without being an emotional train wreck. We have just figured out kind of how to cope while living through this insanity. And then in the span of 48 hours, you're going to ask me to run through all of these emotions: grief and loss and mourning and anxiety and guilt and gratitude and hope and anger and yearning and fear and frustration, all of it. When I just like literally figured out how to go for coffee with a friend like a semi-normal person. And it's crazy to say that I try to relate to that because it feels so insane, the lives that these people are living. But I really appreciated their honesty and gifting the opportunity to kind of be an observer to how they're experiencing the gamut of these emotions, and this week in particular. I know these days are a lot, and I feel like a little bit we're all kind of walking through our days when there's like constant news and no news all at the same time, like we're treading water in water that we don't want to be in. And this week, these days feel like a little bit of a yank back into the water and into the emotional mush, that's a professional term, of it all. And it's not an easy place to be, at least for me. I'll speak for me. It is not an easy place to be. So I'm really grateful to Rabbanit Dahlia Davis, our Director of Pastoral Education, who knew that having a meaningful space for these emotions was really important. And I am so grateful to Rachel Kann, who's coming to us all the way from Morocco in the middle of the night to help us tap into some of these emotions. Because Rachel is that wonderful and that special, and I am selfishly so thankful to have her teaching with us tonight, because personally, I've never known anything like it. And I know that Rabbanit Dahlia has worked so hard to try to capture the essence of what the emotions of these days are, to try to share them with us and give us this very precious space. And I'll speak for myself. I think that most of you know by now, I've been having a really hard time feeling so distant, like physically distant from Israel, while feeling so emotionally right there. And this week, these days are a container for a lot of that emotion. So talking to Dahlia, she wanted so badly to try to get us as close as we could without getting on an airplane to shorten that distance that we've been feeling. And I've been feeling very lucky to have had the opportunity once upon a time to actually have been in Israel on Yom HaZikaron and Yom Ha'atzmaut, and to know what the crunch of the gravel sounds like as you walk through Har Herzl, the National Military Cemetery that's like Arlington Cemetery here in the US. And there's a photo that Dahlia is going to show later that for me is so much of what Yom HaZikaron is. It's a photo of all of the graves set up in this massive cemetery with a flag and sometimes a flower and a stool. Each grave has a stool set up for the visiting mourners. And I think that that's when it hit me how much these holidays, is that the word that we use? These holidays are just so communal and also so personal that every single person in the country has a person, has a stool that they're going to go sit on, and a grave to visit. And I will admit that I felt like a little bit of a voyeur to this communal mourning that I was like one ring outside of. At that time, I didn't have a grave that was personal to me, but instead, I watched personal grief on display communally. And it was so personal. There were tears and wailing. It was so good for a while. And there was quiet. And then there were l'chaims. People would come and just have a l'chaim graveside, not being rude, just like that was how they chose to show up. And there were children's drawings, and there were, I don't know how to say this better, grave neighbors, like the people who saw each other once a year but hugged each other like family because their loved ones were there lying next to each other in perpetuity for eternity. Um, and I remember feeling like I was witnessing so much humanity, and I got angry at like the younger teens who were off under a tree laughing in the shade, and was in awe of the soldiers who walked from grave to grave, those who had fallen from their units. And it all made such obviously a deep impression on me. But even while standing there, I really recognized how this formative, personal, communal grieving was so integral to what it means to be Israeli. And I was still a visitor to that. But it gave me a deeper understanding and appreciation of what these days are and what my friends are saying while they're complaining about this upcoming week and how emotional it is. And just a much deeper appreciation for what grief is and how unfiltered it can be and how varied it can be. And so I want to give all of us permission to lean into whatever we're holding tonight, because it comes in many, many forms. You can see the form that I have chosen for this evening. And I'm going to be generous and just say none of it is wrong. Even when the person at the front of the room can't get her act together to get out a sentence without tearing up. So tonight we're going to do what we always do and show up exactly as we are, and show up for each other and hold everything that we're holding together. So thank you so much for this, Dahlia. I'm really, really grateful to you. And can you start us off?
Thank you so much, Ariella, and thank you everybody for coming and being with us tonight so that we can go through this experience together, holding each other. So tonight's program is a mixture of remembering, grieving, processing, questioning, uniting, and even celebrating. There's so much we are hoping to experience tonight together as we commemorate Yom HaZikaron and celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut. And as Ariella said, what do we call these days? So holidays is really holy days. And I see both of these days as having their own unique holiness to them. And so we're going to consider what are the mitzvot, what are the different things that we can do to make these days not just days where we go through certain actions, but where we have a spiritual connection and grapple with the difficulties that we're facing. So we begin with Yom HaZikaron, which is a day to remember all of Israel's fallen soldiers and civilian victims of terror. This is a day when, as Ariella mentioned, people visit cemeteries to honor, remember, and be close to those who they have loved and lost, but also to those that they have lost but have never even met. So together, I'd like us to go and visit Har Herzl in a virtual way. Har Herzl is Israel's national cemetery in Jerusalem. And I'm gonna share some slides with you of images from Har Herzl. And to start, we're actually gonna set our intentions through a specific phrase that I wanna share with you. And it's loading. And this first phrase that you're going to see in a moment is from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. And he talks about the idea that wherever I'm walking to, I'm walking towards Eretz Yisrael, to the land of Israel. L'chol makom she'ani holech la'Eretz Yisrael. And so we're going to envision tonight together, and I invite you to join me in doing so, thinking about ourselves actually walking, as Ariella mentioned, the crumble of the dust underneath your feet. What does the air feel like? What are the trees that you're seeing? Who are the people that you're seeing? And we're going to imagine that we're walking together as a group towards the places that we're going to see tonight. And we're going to start this journey in a place called, called Shvil HaMa'avar, the connecting path. As we cross this path, we are journeying from Yad Vashem, from the Holocaust Remembrance Museum, and we're going to walk from there across this path, which takes us from Yad Vashem as we carry all of the people who perished in the Holocaust in our hearts, and we walk from there to Har Herzl, to Israel's cemetery. And you can, if you'd like to close your eyes for a second, and you can just kind of envision if there's anyone in particular who comes to mind from the Shoah that you want to carry with you, you can put them right front and center in your heart, and you can just kind of walk slowly in your mind into Har Herzl. And if there's any particular historical references that are coming up for you, or feelings about what it means to go from that type of destruction to a new type of sadness, just notice that and allow that to come up. And you're always welcome to share these thoughts in the chat as we go. And now we're arriving together in Har Herzl. And here are the stools that Ariella had mentioned. As she said, each grave, each kever has a stool by it and an Israeli flag, offering each a moment of honor and a place for people, whether loved ones or strangers, to come and visit and to uplift the soul of the person who has passed. And here in this image, you can see the soldiers who have the task of setting up, the very holy task of setting up Har Herzl and getting all the flags and all of the graves ready in the most respectful and beautiful way. There we go. So what we see here is there are many different things that people put on top of the graves there in order to express love and admiration and to uplift the soul of the person who has passed. And one of the things that is used are rocks. And so you can see in this particular grave, that there are many rocks on top of it. And if anyone has this particular custom, I'd love if you could share in the chat why you do this, what your understanding is of this custom. The one that I want to share tonight is the idea that the word sur, the word for rock in Hebrew, is also a reference to God. As you see in this phrase, may the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable before you, God, my rock and my redeemer. And I kind of see this action of putting a rock on a grave as a way to say that we honor your strength, the person who has passed, particularly if it's a case of a soldier, and God is with you and lifting up your soul, and God is with all of the people who are coming to visit you. And that although there's a physical separation, the souls are still able to connect to one another, and there's still this spiritual connection. And so if you have anything near you that you want to hold in your hand and kind of think of as your symbolic rock, anything that you can kind of have with you, you can hold it in your hand. And we're going to go now and we're going to visit with people. We're going to go to visit some of the graves and honor some of the people that are here. And while we're doing that, there'll also be an opportunity for you to share people that are on your mind. And if you'd like, if you want to think of an image or a name that you're going to have on your rock, feel free to do that as well. As you can see, some of the people put particular names and images on the rocks that they're leaving behind. So as I said, we're going to go visit people, and soon you'll see images and I'll share who we're going to see. But what I wanted to do first is introduce this song that we're going to listen to as we go through. The song is a song that's often sung on Yom HaZikaron, and I'll read the lyrics in Hebrew, in English, but you can look at the Hebrew as I go. It's called Parach, flower. There in the dust and the sky's blue, there is a section of peace. Sleep, flower, sleep, sleep, little girl. They took life from you, O holy wars. Angels wept for you with dry eyes. Your smile, baby girl, they buried in the ground. Oh, how silence grows from within the confusion. There in the dust, in the sky's blue, there is a section of peace. Sleep, flower, sleep, little girl. And so the people that we're going to highlight tonight, in the next few slides as I play the music, are a group of female soldiers who were on the lookout in Nahal Oz. And what you'll see, there's a number of them, and we really want to give each their own special space, and we don't have the space here to do all of that. So we'll send bios of everybody afterwards. But there's two that you're going to see a longer bio for that we're going to highlight. And one of them, her family, in her honor, they created what's called their sticker project. So if you ever have seen a sticker with a picture of somebody who was killed and a beautiful quote, and there's usually beautiful imagery around it, it was their way to honor and create a memory place for their loved one. And you're going to see that in this series of images, and her name is Shachaf Nisani. So you'll see her picture and her bio. And then a second person that we wanted to highlight here is Aviv Hajjaj, and she is spoken about a lot by the soldiers who were who were returned in the most recent deal. And she's spoken about because she was one of them, and she's one of their comrades, and they love her so dearly. And her parents, when they spoke to her for the very last time, she had asked that they recite Tehillim, that they say Psalms together and pray together. And so her parents had a number of books of Tehillim, books of Psalms created in her memory and with her name. So you'll see a little bit of highlighting of her as well. Okay. And this song, Parach, has been sung this is not such a new song. It's been sung for many years.
חלקת שלום ישנו נאום מפרח נאום נעמי, נעמי, ילדה קטנה, את החיים לקחו לה, מלחמות קדושות, מלאכים בחרו לך, בעיניים יבשות. את חיוכך תינוקת קברו באדמה, איך צומח שקט מתוך מי שלחץ על ידך דם, את ליבו מחדים במלחמות לצדק, גם ילדים מתים. מלחמות קדושות, מלאכים בחרו לך, בעיניים יבשות. וחלומך ברוח חרוז למנגינה, נעמי פרח, נעמי, נעמי, ילדה קטנה.
I know this is really hard. If anyone would like to put into the chat any names of people that you'd like to remember and share with other people, I'd love for us to hear each other's names and be there to support one another. You can, throughout the night, you can put the names in the chat. Okay. Now that we've done the mitzvah of going to visit those whose lives have been lost, we're going to do the other part of the mitzvah, which is to actually visit the mourners who are coming, and to be there to listen to them and to hold them virtually, of course, and to send them our love and our support as if we were there in person. So here we can see a number of people that are coming to visit, and they're holding each other, and they're sitting together. And I'm so struck by the beautiful things that they put on top of each grave site, to honor the person and to just beautify where they are and continue to care for them in whatever way they can. And so the first person we're going to visit is the father of Shai Arvas. What you're looking at right now is a bracelet that he created. He created many of these bracelets And he goes around and he gives people the bracelet of his son, and he talks about him. And not only does he talk about him and goes to visit his gravesite, but he goes to the gravesite and he takes care of all of the boys that are buried around him, and he waters their plants and he talks to them and he cares for their sites, and he just does all of these things in order to keep the memory of his son alive. And we're not going to show it right now, but there's a video of him driving around saying, "Here's my son, take his bracelet, wear his bracelet," and just like trying to spread his love for his son and his son's memory everywhere he can. And so we're here to visit Shai's father, and if anyone wants to just put any messages in the chat that you'd like to say to him, please feel free to do so. And on this screen, we have a number of people that we're going to visit. We'll start in the top left corner. This is the father of Ori Danino, who was one of the beautiful six who was killed in a tunnel in Gaza. And in this speech, he's just saying that the thing that he wants most for everybody to do is to sing and to pray, and that those types of actions will help keep his son's memory alive. And so we're doing a lot of that tonight. We're going to look at some songs as we already did, and those songs are not just songs in my mind. I feel like they're also prayers and things that we're carrying in our hearts and asking for, that everyone should find peace. This picture on the left, down below, this woman's name is Rachel Goldberg. There's actually two Rachel Goldbergs on the screen. I'll explain in a second. But she's holding her husband's uniform. Her husband, Rabbi Avi Goldberg, was killed in battle in Lebanon. And she has been somebody who's been speaking and sharing her experience in a really beautiful way. And she's been caring for her children and just expressing how much she wants her husband's memory and his legacy of playing music and of welcoming people into their home and of teaching Torah. And she wants to continue all of that work. And then the picture in the center is Michal Labanov, the wife of Alex Labanov, who was another one of the beautiful six. And you can see her visiting her husband's grave. And then in the top here, there are three mothers. The one on the right is Rachel Goldberg Poland. And the middle one is Honor, Hirsch's best friend. And all three of these mothers have sons who went to high school together, and all of whom were killed since October 7th. And they're reflecting together about what it's like to be a mother in that situation. And so as a community, I'd love for us to just kind of send love to all of these people, and feel free again to put messages in the chat to send your love and any words that you want to share with them at this, as if you could talk to them in person, which is what maybe we all wish we could do. And now I want to introduce you to another person that I'd love for us to visit and offer comfort to. And her name is Iran. And Iran is a young woman, as you can see, who was in Kfar Aza on October 7th. And she was saved by her fiance, who, when they were hiding in a safe room, there was a grenade thrown in, and he jumped on the grenade, and that saved her life. And then she was able to survive. But she speaks here about how much she misses her beloved fiance.
הוא הכי טוב בעולם, מאז ומתמיד. הוא האהוב שלי. מקווה שהוא יבוא בחלומות, שיגיד שהוא בסדר. כן. אם הוא בסדר אז אני אהיה בסדר. הוא המלאך שלי, השומר האישי שלי. ועצוב לי, בעיקר כואב, שהוא החלה כשרוצה להצטרף אליו. ככה הכאב קצת יפסיק. הוא לא מת לשווא. והוא מת כדי שאני אחיה את החיים הכי טובים. לא יודעת כמה הם יהיו טובים בלעדיו. אבל נעשה אותו גאה. בעיקר גאה. לא ידעתי שיש לי עוד דמעות לבכות מהשבוע הזה.
So if we had been in person with all of these people, there's particular words that we might want to offer them. Okay. So these are the words that are traditionally said in a place of mourning to offer comfort to those who are in mourning. And when I was putting this together, Ariella mentioned, well, you have to include the Sephardi phrase also. So we're going to have both the Ashkenazi phrase and we'll also say the Sephardi phrase. And please say it alongside me. So we'll start at the top. We can read in Hebrew and in English. Hamakom minachem etchem betoch sha'ar Zion v'Yerushalayim. May the omnipresent comfort you among the rest of the mourners and Jerusalem. And then we'll read the Sephardi one. Min hashamayim tenachamu. May you be comforted from heaven. And I'm going to stop the share now for a minute so I can see you and we can see each other. And I'd love to see, now I'm able to open the chat. And I'm wondering if there's anyone else that you are thinking about that you'd like to just highlight for us so that we can think about them and offer them comfort. Or it could be that there's someone here and you don't have to share your story if that feels like it's too much, but if you just want to let us know that you're in need of comfort so that we can offer that to you at this time. So is there anyone else that we should bring into this space and visit? Oh, and I'm seeing some really beautiful messages from before. Thank you, everybody. Okay, now let's see. Susan Cohen, my baby sister. Thank you for sharing that. Everyone who's lost a sibling. Alicia Lowenstern, son of my second grade teacher. Okay, and if you think of other people, then feel free to place them in the chat. And so what I'd love for us to do right now is to kind of, after we've done all of this visiting of other people, allow some space for ourselves to see how we're doing. And so we were gonna do some writing with Rachel. So I'm wondering if, as we were going through the different people and the different parts of the experience we just had together, is there anything in particular that when you heard that it really struck you and there's something that you wanted to respond to? Whether that's somebody that you saw or something, the piece of music that we listened to together. Is there something that really, when you hear that, you're like, oh, that feels like Yom HaZikaron. That feels like this just kind of place of grief. And you can respond in the chat, but I think it's okay for us to even, you can raise hands and we can even have some people come off mute. I see in the chat, they're so young. They're at the beginning of their lives. Absolutely. Yeah, that was part of why we thought the song Parach was perfect, because it talks about them as little girls and like they are so young. Wait, it's going so fast. 1 second. Okay. The woman who said, I didn't know I had any more tears. Yeah, I can very much understand that, like, this disbelief at how many tears we have. Okay. In general, it feels so complicated to grieve someone you don't know, but I feel like you've shown us how you've lost and it feels personal. Thank you. Yeah, it's sometimes some people have the response where it's hard because we don't know the people. And then sometimes when we get to know them, it almost feels like we know them even though we've never met them. And I think we kind of experience that on a spectrum of sometimes we feel really connected and sometimes it's harder to feel that connection. And that's totally fine. And that's part of what we want to come into the space with, is this, whatever Yom HaZikaron is for you, we really appreciate you being here and that we're going through it together. Okay, I'm going to share a few more comments. So heartbreaking that all these young people are gone too soon. So moved by the slides of the soldier standing with attention at rest with their hands behind their back, making a heart shape with the way their hands were placed. Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even think about that. When I first saw that slide, I was thinking, do they have to have their hands in a particular position? Because they were all exactly the same. But now that you pointed that out, I see the heart. I recall seeing that picture, and that's beautiful. Thank you for noticing that. Okay, back into the chat for a second. Thank you for including the pictures of the Chayalot when they were happy and enjoying life. Absolutely. So one of the things that is hard on Yom HaZikaron is that there's so much focus on the death and how people died. But we really want to also think about what their life was and how they lived and what they loved and the joy they brought to their family and friends. And so in the follow-up that we'll send with you with the bios of the women, each one has this beautiful quotes from their family members talking about who they were and what their life was like. And so we can honor that by keeping that memory alive. Okay, my cousin Eddie Lander from Renana passed away at a very young age. I'm sorry, Diana. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's another thing about grief, is that, this is like a set time for where we might be talking about, the soldiers and those who have been killed in terror attacks, but there's also all this other grief, right? We might have people who didn't die for those reasons, but that we carry grief about. And so I appreciate that you brought that into the space. Okay. What happens afterwards to the personal items left on the graves? That's a great question. I'm not sure. I wonder if they just kind of stay there as long as they're able to subsist. Thank you for asking that, Katie. Yvonne, would you like to come off mute?
Okay. I think what impressed me more, and I lived in Israel 9 years and had forgotten a little bit about it, is the picture in Har Herzl where you can see all the community together. I mean, each one is in their own grave. Maybe each one is, mourning their loved ones, but there's a sense that they're there for each other as well. And I find that, like, I shared about my family, Holocaust survivors, my parents and grandparents last Friday in my temple, and it was extremely hard. And coming into this, it's another level. But when I finished sharing there, the sense of community made me think that I think that's what kept us going throughout all history, with everything that has happened. My parents and their community when they came to South America after the war. Seeing now what you showed was very powerful. So I saw it, also as, we're going to be here year after year for each other as well. The big family of Israel that I think I've lived in Uruguay, in Israel, and now here in Miami. And it's only in Israel that I sense that sense of we console each other through these tragedies, but there's, that responsibility for the other as well. So that's what I saw in the big picture that you showed.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even a few nights ago, or was it last night maybe, there was a gathering for the beautiful 6 that I mentioned, of these 6 hostages. The families didn't know each other beforehand, and through this horrible tragedy, they became like a community. And I heard one of them talking about how, like, they're constantly in touch with each other and they support each other, and they've been, working to grow and rebuild themselves and kind of find emotional strength because of the connection that they've had to each other. And you said that so beautifully, that like we survive by being together. And that's another reason why we wanted to go through this day together with all of you, because I think you're absolutely right. That Rachel is an incredible, brilliant poet and writer. And artist, and I heard also dancer, so we're soulmates. And she is up at 2 something a.m. in order to be here with us all the way from Morocco. And it's such a gift that we're able to be here with you tonight. So thank you for whatever you had to do to pull this off.
I'm so honored to be here. I'm so grateful to be with all of you. It's so, so special. And yes, definitely dance soul sisters. And wow, I'm on gallery view and I'm just taking a moment to drink in all your faces. Hi. And really take a moment really to be a little self-indulgent in a way. I hope you'll let me have a moment to express my gratitude to be in community with all of you in this moment, in our life spiral of our tradition, and in this global reality, in this reality in our holy land, in our reality in the United States, in our reality in this globe. And yeah, like I'm in Tangier, so blessed to be exploring Sephardic music that came over after the expulsion of Jews from Spain. And I'm one of 15 Jews here in Tangier. So just to be here with all of you is overwhelming in such a wonderful way to feel community. So just thank you for being with me. I feel incredibly fortunate to drink in your sweet faces through the Zoom screen and to make space. And yes, Ariella is perfect. And so I'm here to open a portal through poetry as a way to see what wants to come through us at this time. I want to start by just going right into the poems, if that feels good. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully this will all be perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we're diving right in. I'm not telling you much, but what we're doing right now is something that I call poetry prompt journey. So we're on a journey together right now. It doesn't matter if you fancy yourself a poet or even a writer or even a creator in any sense, or maybe you create in other ways, or a reader of poetry or a lover of poetry. It's really not about that. It's just, again, this portal, a way for us to connect with the prism of words. So I'm wondering right now if anyone would do me the honor of reading this poem. You can just wave if you're the person. You can use like okay, I saw Yael. Can you unmute? I don't know, do you have okay. Will you read this and will you read us the title and authors? We honor them too.
The Yellow Star That Goes With Me by Jessica Greenbaum. I also just want to note that it's National Poetry Month, so this is cool on so many levels. Sometimes when I'm thirsty, I mean really dying of thirst for 5 minutes, sometimes when I'm bored a train, sometimes in December when I'm absolutely freezing for 5 minutes, sometimes when I take a shower, sometimes in December when I'm absolutely freezing, sometimes when I reach from steam to towel, when the bed has soft blue sheets, sometimes when I take a shower for 20 minutes, the white tiles dripping with water, sometimes when I reach from steam to towel, when the bed has soft blue sheets, sometimes when I split an apple, or when I'm hungry, painfully hungry, for 20 minutes, the white tiles dripping with water as the train passes Chambers Street. We're all crammed in like laundry. Sometimes when I split an apple or when I'm hungry, painfully hungry, for half an hour, sometimes when I'm on a train. as it passes Chambers Street. We're all crammed in like laundry. It's August. The only thing to breathe is everybody's stains for half an hour. Sometimes when I'm on a train or just stand alone at the empty platform. It's August. The only thing to breathe is everybody's stains. Sometimes when I board a train or just stand along the empty platform. Sometimes when I'm thirsty, I mean really dying of thirst.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was so beautiful. Yeah, so we're just here to let these words wash over us. This is not a literary analysis class in any way, just to receive this very clear transmission from this poet. This is a pantoum. It's a very highly structured poem that I know I said I was just going to not talk literary, but I have to share about the way the lines repeat. It's following this very highly structured pattern. It's called a pantoum if these things are interesting to you. And just thinking about how thoughts recur to us and come in different times, and memories and what we carry in our DNA. Thank you so much, Yael. Um, that poem really touches me deeply, as does this one. Who would like to read this one for us? You can just wave at me with your human hand or your virtual hand, or thank you, Elisa.
I just want to say that 25 years ago, I was in Alex Singer's parents' apartment, and his artwork was all over the walls. And he was beautiful. And he's the person I put in the chat. Yom HaZikaron by Alex Singer. Once in a while, as I progress toward the course's end, I feel a pang of fear. Today, I felt such fear. If the war comes, when the war comes, I will have to lead men to die. But those men were not men a short time ago. Some don't even shave yet. And I will have to have the calm power to yell to them or to whisper, Kadima. Move it up a little bit more. Thank you. And I will have to have the calm power to step forward myself.
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you shared. Is there anything else you want to say in this moment?
I just the contrast between Alex as an artist and as a poet, and the fact that he also made Aliyah and joined the army and was killed in battle. Just those two parts of him, the artistic poet and the warrior, just kind of stay with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm feeling Hashem very close, and I know that if I told you the story of how I came to that poem, it was a long I didn't settle easily on the poem to hold this space of this corner of the tent of this moment. And to know that you had already brought him into the chat and had sat with his paintings is really, I'm feeling a lot of gratitude right now. Thank you so much for the beautiful reading, Lisa, and just a big wow, and thank you, Hashem. And I wonder who would like to read this poem for us. You can just wave if it's you.
I'll read this. One of
You.
my college professor wrote Denise Levertov's biography,
Wow, the synchronicity is really
right?
so powerful right now. Wow.
Right? To speak of sorrow works upon it, moves it from its crouched place, bearing the way to and from the soul's hall, out in the light. In the light, it shows clear, whether shrunken or known as a giant wrath, discreet at least, where before its great shadow joined the walls and roof and seemed to uphold the hall like a beam.
Thank you. Beautiful. A beautiful invitation, I think, for us to move into our expression. And so now I want to invite you to join in this act of possible expression, creation, writing, whatever word feels right for you, but it might not even be verbal. Maybe you have crayons nearby, or you're a painter, or maybe you just want to do a meditative reflection. So I will invite you all to take another deep breath, and it is my great honor to share and reflect back to you this co-creation. Survivor, community, honor their memory, understanding, accepted, forgiven, not enough room, paralyzed. Once in a while, the grief we carry can no longer be held by tears, but needs to take action. Let go. Our shared love of doing laundry, the joy you always sprinkle with broken glass, shimmer. If we are lucky, we are so heavy because we are so burdened with love. The mother who couldn't protect her son, so young, so full of hope. Sometimes my faith astounds me. We must honor a new way of being. What must be mourned is lost time, not spent holding hands instead of papers. Hopeful, doubt, beauty. Once in a while, my heart remembers breaking, how it breaks continuously until I breathe goodbye. We are all created in God's image, so why such divisiveness amongst peoples? Once in a while, I close my eyes and pray. Inspired. Yes, I see applause. I feel bowled over, and there's your exact time, momish to the minute. And good thing, because I'm speechless. I am so moved. I'm in tears for, I guess, the third time tonight. I can't believe the beauty of your words, the way, the flow. Please save this chat, Ariella, save this poem, because you won't believe the depths of the connection and the perfect flowing of the words. We're going to all have to read it a few times and be like, how did it go in such a perfect, perfect flow? And to know, just as our Holy Torah teaches us that each person is a world, that in each of those snippets we got is a whole world inside each of you that came through, and words to continue to explore and expound on and create from and express. And the magic of this specific combination of us, that and the poems that we were visited by, that we read, that filled our cup to overflowing, to get this braid of these words, of your pouring forth, of your hearts. Thank you so much. I am deeply heartened, much more than I have been in a long time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I feel like after having such a long time of feeling like there are no words, you kind of brought the words forward and gave us the ability to find them by bringing them to us and by bringing them out of us and by sharing your words with us. So thank you so much. And that really is kind of what we're going to look at now, is taking the journey from walking from Yad Vashem to Har Herzl, expressing ourselves, finding the words. And now we're going to take words into the transition, the very complicated, messy, hard to understand, hard to comprehend transition from Yom HaZikaron into Yom Ha'atzmaut, which is called like the ma'avar, the passage, the transition, which is everything smushed into one little space in one little minute, where we go from one place to another. So I would like to invite us to kind of say a couple of beautiful words that are traditionally said on the night of Yom Ha'atzmaut. In my synagogue, we sing these words to the tune of Lecha Dodi, as like the Friday night tefillah of Lecha Dodi, the Friday night prayer. And it's kind of like this awakening of transitioning from one time to another. So I'm going to share the words with you. And what I'd like to invite us to do together, what we're going to do is we're going to say these words together. You'll see them in a minute, 3 times. And the first time that we say them, if you'd like, I'd invite you to kind of picture yourself sitting in a circle in person, somewhere near Har Herzl, with Rachel guiding us through this workshop. And we'll say the words together there. And then we'll envision ourselves getting up and walking out of Har Herzl, and that action of picking ourselves up and moving somewhere forward. We'll say the words again. And then the third time, I invite you to go wherever you're called to go in Israel, whether you've been there or you've been there in your mind's eye. Just think about, where's the place that you'd like to walk to. Like we said in the beginning, like kol makom shani olech ani olech l'Eretz Yisrael. To wherever I go somewhere to Israel. So where would you like to go? So here are the words. The words are Zayom Asa Hashem Nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that God has made. Let us exalt and rejoice on it. And sometimes it's easy to exalt and rejoice, and sometimes it feels so far away. And however close you feel to those feelings, we can think of it as something that feels really resonant right now, or something that we hope for in the future, and anywhere in between. So let's close our eyes. If you're comfortable doing so, imagine yourself sitting with all the other women on this call, in a circle with Rachel, and let's say together, Zeh hayom asa Hashem nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that God had made. Let us exalt and rejoice on it. And now let's rise, let's stand up, and let's start to walk on our journey out of Har Herzl, through this ma'avar, through this transition. And we'll say it again. Zeh hayom asa Hashem nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that God has made. Let us exalt and rejoice on it. And now envision that place that you want to go to, wherever it is in Israel. Any picture that pops up in your mind. And let's say it one more time. Zayom asa Hashem nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that God has made. Let us exalt and rejoice in it. And if you'd like to share in the chat the place that you went to, please feel free. We'd love to see. And we're going to continue with our journey of words and look at some very traditional Yom Ha'atzmaut words written by Naomi Shemer. We're going to look at the song Al Kalela. And we chose the song for tonight because it really contains the 2 pieces of feelings that might be coming at us, right? The feelings of the mar, the bitter, and the matok, the sweet. And sometimes we feel one more strongly, sometimes we feel the other, but we bring them together and say all of this is part of our relationship with the Jewish people and with Israel. We acknowledge both and we welcome them and we sing. And so I just want to highlight a few verses, a few phrases, and then we'll listen to the song. And this is what's called Shira B'Tzibor, which is communal song, which is something that I think happens a lot on Yom Ha'atzmaut and is a really special piece of it. So we're going to all sing with all being on mute, but we're going to sing together. So the phrases I wanted to just highlight for you is over the honey and the stinger, over the bitter and the sweet, and over a baby girl, please guard my good Lord. And we are going to go down to the chorus. Over all of these things, please stand guard for me, my good God, over the honey and the stinger, over the bitter and the sweet. Don't uproot a sapling. Don't forget the hope. May you return to me, and may I return to the good land. The version I'm going to play for you has children, it's in the school, and everyone's singing together. And we're going to sing alongside if you'd like to sing. If you'd also like to put into the chat anything that strikes you as bitter and anything strikes you as sweet, you're welcome to do that as well. I'll share with you what my sweet thing is when I think about Israel. And my sweet thing is something that happens on Yom Ha'atzmaut. Oh, 1 second. Where did the slide go? There it is. it is a memory that I have from the last time I was in Israel on Yom Ha'atzmaut, and it is Israeli dancing, as you probably guessed, but it is in Kikar Safra, in this big, big, big open space in Jerusalem, and everybody comes. There are circles and concentric circles and circles and circles. There's like 10 layers of circles of people dancing, and they're people of all ages and from all over the world and of all different backgrounds, and they're all just dancing together. So I'm going to show you a quick clip of what this looks like. My sweet Israeli dancing. Right. And now, instead of watching other people dance, I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to dance, we're going to dance together. We're going to actually do a very old dance, but to a very new version of this song. So first, I'll just show you the song we're going to dance to. It was written by Ofer Chaza. It is called Chai. And I'll just tell you a remarkable story. When Ariel and I were talking about using this song, I was listening to this older version from many, many years ago, and the words just felt so powerful and so resonant for this moment. It was just like exactly what I needed. And then, I don't know, like a half an hour before we came on Zoom, Ariel's like, I found a new version by Netta Barzilai, and it's gorgeous. So we're going to read the words here, and then I'm going to close this and play for you the new version, and we're going to dance together in whatever way you'd like to dance. And I'll explain that in a second. So we can read the words if you'd like. You can read it in whatever language is comfortable for you. I'm going to read it in English for now. Alive, alive, alive. Yes, I'm still alive. This is the song which my grandfather sang yesterday to my father, or my grandmother sang yesterday to my mother. And today I sing, I am still alive, alive, alive. The people of Israel live. This is the song which my grandfather or grandmother sang to my mother or my father. And today I sing. So I'm going to stop the screen share. And I'm going to play for you the new version that just came out as we dance. And for dancing, you can stand up, you can sit down, you can do what I'm doing, you can do whatever you want to do. It's totally whatever feels right for you and whatever is going to make this feel like the most meaningful experience for Yom Ha'atzmaut. And as we've talked about in other programs, but if you weren't there, I'll just reiterate that dance right now doesn't just feel like something that we're doing for fun, but it feels for me personally like something that's a prayer and something that expresses a connection and a healing power. It helps me get through the sad times and helps me celebrate the positive, happy times. And it's all a mishmash together. Okay, so I found the song now. I'm just gonna share just the music part so you can see me and see each other and listen at the same time. Okay, hopefully this works. Let me know if you can hear it. Did it? Thank you. Okay, I'm not even gonna teach it to you because the hour's late. I'm just gonna dance and you do whatever dancing you'd like. Okay. It's gonna start slow and then it's gonna pick up the pace. And you can stand, you can sit, whatever feels right.
זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא והיום אני זה השיר שסבא שר אתמול לאבא והיום אני שירי לחזור. אני שואל ומתפלל, טוב שאבדה התקווה. אני אתכם, עם ישראל חיים, זה השיר של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני ולילותיי ובשמיים עמוד האש עוד קם.
Okay, thank you everybody for all of your dancing. And thank you for being here for this whole journey from Yom HaShoah to Yom HaZikaron to processing our grief with the beautiful words that Rachel created with us to Yom Ha'atzmaut. It is really quite a journey that we're on, and that I know we're going to continue on as we go forward into this week. So we couldn't have done this without being together, and I didn't want to dance alone. So thank you for being here with me.